Hello, 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 and welcome to Life's Easy with E, your go to podcast for all things chronic kidney disease. My name is Eric Q, formerly Easy E, and I want to say welcome back to the show. Today's episode in the life of Easy E is going to be it's going to be a refresher into what I've done here before. Specifically, it's going to be kind of a recap of the first four episodes of Life's Easy with E. I'm doing this just to refresh some of our memories about, some of the things that are involved with chronic kidney disease. Also, in case I have anyone new joining the show today, you'll get an idea of what it is that I'm attempting to do here. Of course, if you are new, I would encourage you, or if you want, a more detailed look, but I would encourage you to go to Facebook and, of course, like or love the show. You can go to the YouTube, and I would ask you to subscribe. And I do put some stuff up on the TikTok as well. The TikTok thing is more workout and or health oriented, but still you can get some ideas into, elevating your life's position. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. But before I really get into it, I want to say a few things to a few people out there. Some of the people who are involved in the show, involved in my life, just people that I know in general. The first person that I definitely want to give a shout out to and say hello to is the show's executive producer, the lovely Shatira. You guys don't know how hard she works in the background of this show. In fact, the show really, mostly, is about her efforts and what she does. She also has chronic kidney disease, and she is battling it. She battles it just like I do. And quite honestly, if you ever get a chance to see her, she is a queen, and you would never know it. So I just wanted to say, Shatira, welcome back. You have definitely been missed, and I want to thank you very much for your efforts. The second person that I want to mention is Chef Woods. Chef Woods also has chronic kidney disease, much like me and Shatira. He's out here and he's doing what he can for the community. If you watched the show last week, you'll note that he once a month will be hosting a luncheon. June 8th, he'll be hosting a luncheon at T's Restaurant and Bar and Game Room on Two Notch Road. That'll be June 8th. He is reaching out to people here in the chronic kidney disease community here in the Midlands, but if you do decide to join, you can bring your friends and your relatives, and I encourage you. In fact, Chef Woods, if you're watching, I want to let you know that me and the show's producer are going to try to attend, okay? Can't make any promises. Saturdays are pretty busy for us, but we're going to try. Also want to give a shout out to show follower Whitney. I hope you're recovering well. Mr. Shannon, keep up the good work. I hope you're recovering well. And last but not least, you guys, those loyal followers who approach me, and want to know certain things, those who look at the show. If you have questions, I encourage you. Again, you can drop me a line at the Facebook, at the YouTube, and of course on TikTok. Facebook, please like. YouTube, please subscribe, and show your love on the TikTok. Right. So I just wanted to say thank you very much because your support helps me, helps us all. And I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you. Okay. Now, one last piece of business. I'm pretty sure you guys know that I'm on dialysis by this point, and I don't hide that. I don't hide that from anybody. In fact, I had a round of dialysis today. And one of the things that I'll be talking about down the road is, and I try to stress, is fluid retention, fluid levels, watching your fluid, things like that. Your honorable host has not been doing well with that this week. So if you see me act a little off, it's because I may be cramping just a little bit. But that said, I got to practice what I preach. and I need to start following what I say. So, but the reason why I bring up the dialysis is because once a month at dialysis, we get labs drawn. And at some point, your doctor and a dietitian, and maybe even a social worker come around and they'll talk to you about your labs, about your medicines, things of that nature. And one of the things that I kind of pride myself in, of course, is taking care of myself. I tend to eat based on my weight, what the scale says, and that's that's the short term, that's the immediate. But the long term, I tend to try to watch what I eat based on what the lab reports will say. And so, right here in my hot little hands next to me, just off camera, I have my latest lab report. And I'm happy to say that usually my lab report is good, is really good, except for fluid. Now, of course, fluid's not so great right now, but that's another thing. But the lab report centers on, quite a few things. Excuse me, I got to put my glasses on so I can see. So one of the things, it's several things. Some of the stuff I'm not going to mention because unless you're specifically on kidney disease, you're not even going to know what I'm saying. But some of the things that it targets: albumin, which is your protein; potassium, calcium, your hemoglobin, which most people are going to know what that is; phosphorus, and another one that's really not going to mean a lot to you. And then it'll talk about your average fluid gauge for the month. So all of my labs came back pretty good. My albumin, which is how much protein that I'm getting, it came back really good. My potassium level is mid-level, which means it's good. I'm at gold. My calcium is I've actually had some calcium problems, but right now it's pretty good. My hemoglobin is excellent, so I don't have to get if your hemoglobin is low, you'll end up having to get iron. Either if you go to a center, they'll put it in your stream. If you take home dialysis, you'll probably have to go to the center to get it. Either way, you don't want to get the iron injected in your system because, for one thing, it can taste. Sometimes you don't need a lot to put you on an iron pill. You don't want that because then you'll have some other effects. I'll just say it that way. But phosphorus is something, and I'm probably going to do a show about phosphorus because there's a condition out there called calciphylaxis that a lot of you never even heard of. And I don't want to really take time to get into it right now because it's a little complicated to explain, but more importantly, it's very deadly. So I want to be very clear-minded and I'm most serious when I talk about this because calciphylaxis is such a deadly disease. It has a mortality rate between 60 and 80%, and yours truly has battled it 3 times. 2 times I couldn't walk because of it. So it was even a thought that I may lose my legs behind it. So we'll definitely talk about that in the near future. And then finally, I'm looking at my fluid gains, and finally, for once, I'm at goal, which means that for a solid month, when I was going to dialysis and checking my weight wasn't out of control. It wasn't high. I wasn't having to take off 4 kilos or more, 5 kilos or more, 6 kilos or more. I was taking off between, let's say 1.5 to no more than about 3.5 kilos, per treatment, which for me, if you know anything about me, it's fabulous, especially for the weekends, because especially now that it's getting hotter and sometimes you just drink a little bit more. Plus I work in an environment where the temptation it's there. I mean, we have cream sodas, we have all kind of bottled drinks, we have fountain drinks, and sometimes you just want a good thing of water. So I just wanted to, basically pat myself on the back, and say that if I can do it, you can do it. Because believe you me, I have a hard time staying away, from just a good glass of cold water. Sometimes it's one of the best things in the world. And when you have chronic kidney disease, sometimes it's so hard to stay away from that. That said, if you guys have questions about your labs and things of that nature, please ask your healthcare provider, your nephrologist, your nephrology team, your dietitian. They're there to help you. You can always ask me, but I am not a specialist. I'm just a patient, okay? I can tell you what I do, but you have to talk to somebody trained to know what you may need to do. That said, on to the show. Like I said earlier, my name is Eric Hugh, and I do a little podcast here. Try to get it out every Wednesday by 7 p.m. Some Wednesdays are good, some Wednesdays aren't. And I'll talk about chronic kidney disease. And thus far, I've had about 8 shows. About 8 shows, I think. 2 of them have been specifically workout oriented. I won't really talk too much about those. But let me just say that I do enjoy the workout ones. But again, everybody's not in a position where they can go work out. So that's not the basis of the show. But one of the bases of the show is keeping yourself in shape. So uh, that said, want to talk about, the first of the 4 shows. In fact, show number 1 was about early detection of chronic kidney disease and also, dispelling some of the myths. During that show, I talked about recognizing the early signs and symptoms of chronic kidney disease. Some of those symptoms being fatigue, swelling, changes in urination. These things should make you want to run, not walk to the doctor, because these could be symptoms of other diseases too. But for this particular discussion, we want to talk about chronic kidney disease. But let's be honest. If you're just fatigued for no reason, if you're swelling for no reason, you definitely want to get that looked into. And of course, I tell you, please consult, your medical professional about that. Another thing that I talked about in that first episode was some of the things that people think in regards to chronic kidney disease. A lot of people think, and I get it a lot. A lot of people think that when you have chronic kidney disease, you're an elderly person. You're like 75, 80, 90 years old. That's not necessarily the case. Your host is in his 50s. The show's executive producer is younger than that. And we have both had chronic kidney disease for a very long time, we just got it this year in 2023. I myself have been on dialysis since 2015. So, which means that I was in my 40s when I started having kidney problems, So, just because you're young and you're healthy, but you have some issues, please get yourself checked. Another thing that we talked about was dietary changes. I highlighted the importance of a kidney-friendly diet, including reducing sodium. You might have to either up or lower your protein depending on, what your labs say, and of course your phosphorus intake. I spoke of the benefits of exercise. We explored the role of regular physical activity, especially in regards to managing your chronic kidney disease. I recommended low-impact exercises like walking, and if you have access to it and you can swim, swimming. And then at the end of the episode, I talked about your support resources such as family, friends, the National Kidney Foundation, Facebook, the YouTube, TikTok, and even myself. Patient advocacy is very important when you're dealing with a very, very deadly disease like this. You're not alone, and you don't need to think that you're alone. So that was the premise of episode 1. Episode 2, I talked really a lot about what I was just talking about, fluid intake and fluid management. I spoke a lot about the importance of monitoring your fluid consumption. Like I was saying earlier, you have to watch what you take in because they're going to attempt to take out every drop that you put in. If you put in too much, you're going to try to get it all, and then you'll end up feeling bad. You'll be feeling, you'll have headaches. You'll definitely cramp. You'll feel weak. Might even mess with your vision. May mess with your blood pressure. So you definitely want to, watch your fluid intake. We spoke of electrolyte balance. Getting your proper, levels of sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. You don't want to have too little, but you definitely don't want to have too much because I spoke of what happens when you have too much sodium, you have too much potassium, and when you have too much phosphorus. They have actually specific names for those particular, ailments. When you have too much, for instance, if you have too much potassium, you will probably have a heart attack, and you do not want that. You have too much sodium, cramping. You may end up retaining fluid, things of that nature. You definitely don't want to mess with your phosphorus because that could lead to calcium flax. We spoke about, managing your fluid restriction, ways of keeping up with the amount of fluids that you're taking in. Like I recommended writing it down, put it in your cell phone or whatever. I use measured cups sometimes, or if I just have a specific cup and I know how much it is, I try to guesstimate how much fluid that I have. And then during that episode, we talked about hydration strategies as far as staying within your fluid limits, you know, such as sucking on ice cubes or eating hydrating fluids. But on the other side, you don't want to eat too much ice. And you definitely don't want to, get yourself loaded on watermelon because, that could cause some problems. I We spoke about fluid overload, identifying the signs of fluid overload like swelling, shortness of breath, your blood pressure getting elevated. These could be very, very dangerous. I'd advise you, if you do think you're in fluid overload, please seek medical attention because, again, fluid overload could be the next step of you no longer being with us and liking me on Facebook. So, we don't want that. Episode 3 spoke a little bit about some of the other myths of chronic kidney disease. Like I mentioned earlier, chronic kidney disease affecting people of all ages. As I said earlier, I was in my 40s when I was diagnosed. I know people who've been on dialysis since they were teenagers. The show's executive producer has been on dialysis longer than I have. Another myth that I spoke of was that you were saying dialysis or kidney transplant is the only treatment, for kidney disease. And by and large, that could be, depends on your state and how you got on chronic, how you became, a chronic kidney disease patient. But, you may not be able to beat the ailment. And I'm not saying that you can't, but I'm saying you may not be able to. But you can definitely maintain the disease with lifestyle changes, medication, and of course, proper monitoring. Another thing that we spoke of was chronic kidney disease isn't serious until symptoms appear, and I am living proof that's just not true. I was in level 4 kidney disease when I discovered or was told that I had chronic kidney disease. I was asymptomatic. I didn't have any symptoms during levels 1, 2, or 3. By the time level 4 appeared, I was starting to have symptoms, but by that point, it was too late. I was basically being signed up for dialysis right then when they told me. So by the time my symptoms did show up, it was far too late. So I would just go ahead and say if there's a history of kidney disease, diabetes, heart problems, or anything of that nature, if you're predetermined to have these, you should go ahead and start talking to a nephrologist just because even if you don't have symptoms, you still might be in level 1 or level 2. If you're in level 1 or level 2, there's still help for you. Okay, we talked about alternative therapies. We explore complementary treatments like acupuncture. Like acupuncture and yoga, and the benefits of as it's applied to managing chronic kidney disease. And then to wrap that episode up, episode 3, we spoke of patient empowerment. I want to encourage all chronic kidney disease patients to advocate for themselves, okay? You are your best source of how you feel, of what you're going through. And you are empowered to learn what this disease does to you, what you can do to keep it at bay. Yeah, there's medicines. Yes, there's doctors. There's text. There's me. There's Shatera. There's the Facebook, like I love. There's YouTube. Please subscribe. But the fact of the matter is, you are your own best decision maker, and you are your own best power. So I implore you, if you have any ailment, I'm not talking about just chronic kidney disease. I'm talking about if you got a common cold, please be your own advocate. No one knows you better than you. Okay? Yeah, I said that. After episode 3 comes episode 4. Episode 4, it was titled Filtering Facts. And basically what I talked about is basically, what you can do to have a pretty good life, even if you have chronic kidney disease. One of the things that kind of got me on the road that I am on this journey is I'd have people telling me, oh, you're going to be sick. You can't do this. You can't do that. Well, I work 40 hours a week. I work for a large school here in South Carolina and have been. I was working there before chronic kidney disease. I work there now. And I continue, and I'm going to continue to work there. In fact, one of these days I'm going to end up doing a podcast in uniform because that's just how my schedule works. Uh, so, so I wanted to let people know that, yeah, just because you have chronic kidney disease, your life doesn't stop. Last I heard, life keeps living, life be lifing, but life is popular. So you might as well live it. I debunked a couple of other myths during this particular episode. Seems like I always have to keep rehashing the fact that chronic kidney disease is not an old age disease, okay? Uh, and I also had to let people know about, symptoms and their thing. Like I said, a lot of symptoms can come from other things other than chronic kidney disease. But again, if you're having symptoms of any sort, don't just wait till it gets worse, because a lot of times when the symptoms do get worse, you get worse. And a lot of times things don't just go away. So, please take care of yourselves. I think I spoke of alternative therapies. We talked more about things like acupuncture, breathing exercises, just regular exercise. In your way of of helping helping manage your chronic kidney disease. We spoke of mindfulness and stress reduction. I highlighted the benefits of mindfulness practices like meditation and yoga in managing stress and improving well-being. Because let's face it, any disease can be stressful on the body. Any disease can be stressful on your mind. Any disease can be stressful on your life. So when you put all that together, and if you just internalize it, you actually end up making yourself worse. So you definitely want to seek ways to, relieve your stress. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but a little bit of my stress reduction comes from doing this podcast. Sometimes I have stuff on my mind and I can express it to you when I can't express it to anybody else. So uh, definitely mindfulness and stress reduction is very important when you're dealing with chronic kidney disease. I also spoke of the impact this disease can have on relationships. I spoke of the importance of open communication, something that your host needs to work on himself, understanding my limitations, which I definitely need to work on, because I hate to say it, sometimes I just get out here and do things that I probably should be doing, but I just know I can do it anyway. And, even redefining intimacy in relationships and how that can be affected by chronic kidney disease. I spoke of advocacy and empowerment. I spoke on that earlier, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but I will say again, please advocate for yourself, because one of the things, again, people will walk up to you and tell you this. People will walk up to you and tell you that. I'm not going to get into, some of the things I've heard. I'm not going to get into some of the things people have told me. But the fact of the matter is, you know how you feel. You know what you can do or what you cannot do. And more importantly, you can reach out, put your hand out, and we can walk through this thing together. And I'll be more than happy to help you. Your doctor will be more than happy to help you. Your technician can help you. If he or she cannot help you, she knows someone who can. All this and more is at your fingertips. We're in the information age. All you got to do is type it in the Google machine. And then after you finish typing in the Google machine, you can hit me up on the Facebook or YouTube, and I can, try to answer the question. But the first person you got to consult is yourself. How do you feel? What do you want to do? What are you trying to get out of life? You're the first. You're the first person. You're the most important person. You're the most powerful person. So definitely, I say advocate and empower yourself. So that was just a brief recap of the first 4 episodes of Life's Easy with E, my little homegrown grassroots podcast here that I'm reaching out to chronic kidney disease patients, even people who have acute renal injury. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. I don't really touch a lot on that, but it's still a version of kidney injury. And kidney injury can be deadly, can be dangerous, could be life-ending. So, if you have questions, please ask me. You can hit me up on Facebook. And one more week goes by, and I still haven't memorized my email address, but rest assured, it's coming. I'm going to have that out. But yeah, this has been a recap of the first 4 episodes of the show. I had a couple other episodes in there where I just did exercises, and another one is coming. The next one will be uh, a little more involved. It'll be me and the show's producer. You know, we'll show you some other things, especially if you feel like you're a little more advanced. Because again, I definitely want to. I want to help you. If there's anybody out there that think that they want to come and you're here in the Midlands area, Columbia, South Carolina, and you want to, come work out with us, hey, come on. You don't have to do what we do because a lot of you can't do what you do, but some of you could do more than what we could do. Maybe you could teach me a thing or two because I'm always willing to learn. So, just reach out to me and we could coordinate. Uh, that's been my show. That's been my recap. This has been Life's Easy with E. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out on Facebook, TikTok, or the YouTube. I'll be happy to answer those questions. But more importantly, keep yourselves healthy, keep yourselves strong, keep yourselves hydrated. Thank you, guys. Good night.